Hi, Terrence here again from Neptune Systems. Today we're out in Gilroy, California in my home in front of an aquarium I'm in the process of putting together. It's a 425-gallon Reef Savvy aquarium, and we're here today to put together a couple of tests that I was hoping would have been done by now out in the blogosphere on our pumps. As you know, there's a lot of great features that they have. There's a lot of subjectivity that people have favoring one pump or another. But some things can be tested much more objectively. And today we're going to take a look really at two key things with the WAV powerhead in relation to what I would say is the bellwether of water-moving pumps out on the market, the EcoTech VorTech Quiet Drive MP40. And what we're going to look at today is a couple of things. First of all, we're going to test sound level. So these right here are sound level meters, digital sound level meters. We have two of them. And we're going to test at 1 meter distance the sound level put out by the WAV and the sound level put out by the EcoTech Quiet Drive MP40. Now, the other thing that we're going to test is power utilization. Power on your aquarium is one of these hidden things that a lot of people don't realize adds up very quickly. And if you're like me and you live in an area where it costs a lot for energy, it matters just a few watts. So we're going to take one of these kilowatts and we're going to run the WAV pump and we're going to run the Quiet Drive pump, and we're going to see if how they match up to the specifications and what the actual wattage is on these two pumps. We'll also do a little bit of video showing the WAV pump in action on this aquarium, how much actual water movement it puts out, just because we happen to have it here. That's why the tank is a little bit cloudy, because I've been moving up a lot of water. And we're also going to take a look at one little subjective point, which is to get some video footage for you of the difference of, in this aquarium, how the WAV looks and how the EcoTech VorTech looks. Because we got a lot of feedback that I just, don't want wires in my tank, we hear a lot of people say. And I can completely understand that. So we're going to show you some of that here today too. And then you can take away what you want to take away from this video. And so I hope you stick with me for the next few minutes and take a look at some of this information that we pulled together. For the tests conducted in this video, we used one WAV pump and the one link from our WAV starter kit. And we also used one EcoTech VorTech MP40 Quiet Drive pump. Both of these test pumps have been run on our unstocked lab aquariums for about 2 months, so they've had plenty of time to break in. For the sound level measurements, we used two different brands of digital sound level meters. Everything in the aquarium as well as the house was shut off, and you can see the baseline sound level here. Very quiet at about 30 dB. First up for testing was the MP40. It was mounted in the tank according to the manufacturer's instructions in terms of both the spacer used as well as securing the wire on the outside of the aquarium with a zip tie mount and zip tie. I applied power to the pump and waited for it to spin up. Something to note in this segment is that there are no cuts. I intentionally left it contiguous so there is no suspicion of any video trickery. Both of these pumps being tested will be run in 100% constant mode. Now I'll bring into view the sound meters. We are exactly 1 meter from the aquarium, and you can see that the average sound between the 2 meters lands around 36.6 decibels. I will now disconnect the power from the MP40 and walk over to the other side of my aquarium so I can switch the WAV on to 100% constant mode. If you look in the upper left corner of the frame, you will see the slim magnet mount of the WAV pump. Got to give a second here so I can get back. Probably see me walk across the reflection there. The WAV spins up and I will bring into view the sound level meters. They'll take a few seconds to settle down, and then you can see that the WAV pump's readings average just under 36 decibels. It looks as if the WAV is at least as quiet as the MP40 Quiet Drive, if not slightly quieter. Next, I will perform a power consumption test for these two pumps. To do that, I'll be using a very common device called a kilowatt from P3 International. When this meter is placed between the device to be tested and the power outlet, it can tell you exactly how much power is being used. This is a very inexpensive and handy device that I think everybody should own so that they truly know what their aquarium components are costing them. Often people do not realize that the wattage quoted to them by the manufacturer is the DC wattage, and since the power transformers are usually only 85 to 90% efficient, the power at the wall, the AC power you pay for, ends up being more than this stated rating. First, let's take a look at the power supplies for these two pumps. It's important to note a key difference here. The VorTech pumps have a discrete power supply for each and every pump, whereas the WAV are powered via a one-link module that has an attached power supply that can be used for multiple devices. In fact, one power supply can power up to 3 WAV pumps. The VorTech power supply is a 32-volt, 60-watt power supply, and the one-link power supply here is a 24-volt, 100-watt power supply. For my first power test, I've connected the VorTech power supply to the kilowatt and then plugged it into the power strip. I've set the kilowatt to display watts. Now I'll plug in the other end of the power supply to the EcoTech controller module. It's set to 100% constant mode. The pump starts up and you can see that it registers a steady 42 watts. This confirms what we have tested before in our lab on another VorTech pump. There's one thing wrong though. As of the date of this filming, the EcoTech website still showed this pump is pulling a maximum of 28 watts. That's 50% more power, so it can't be attributed to the inefficiency of the AC to DC power conversion. Next up is the WAV. Since the one link is already mounted under my aquarium, I had to simply stretch the wire over to this power strip. The WAV pumps are set to off, but you'll notice that once I plug it in, it's immediately showing 5 watts. That's because the power supply on the WAV acts as a backup power supply to the Apex and its modules. I'll put my phone here on the screen and activate to full on the WAV pump. You can see that the power jumped to 38 watts. This means that the actual power used by the WAV is around 33 watts. Now, a few watts here or there may not seem like a big deal to most people. However, in many areas of the country, power is very expensive. For instance, in my home, any additional appliance I plug in costs at least 27 cents a kilowatt hour. In plain terms, that means that with a power difference between this pair of WAV and MP40 pumps, I could pay $43 more a year in electricity. I don't know about you, but that's 2 free Salifert test kits. The final thing I'm going to talk about in this video is something that's a bit more subjective. First off, I'd like to say that not all aquariums are the same in their configuration, their viewing angles, and so on. In my case, I have a very large aquarium. It's located in the center of my entryway of my home, and all 3 of the viewing sides can be seen from different perspectives in the house. One of the common things we hear about the preference for the MP40 over other power heads is that there are no wires inside the tank. Now, while I can see that as being very advantageous in some aquarium configurations, such as an in-wall aquarium, in my case and any other aquarium where you want to see the sides of it, I just don't get it. But that's what makes us individuals. What looks good to some doesn't to others. I just wanted to use my tank here to point out what I mean. I can get flow throughout my aquarium by placing my waves in the upper back corners of the side glass. And since the waves can be pivoted, I have aimed them diagonally across the tank. You can see here the VorTech is mounted in its very common manner on the side glass of the aquarium. You can judge for yourself what you would prefer. And here's a couple of final shots that'll show you just how much flow you get in this 8-foot long aquarium with just 2 wave pumps. So I hope this information was helpful to you guys. I understand it may seem somewhat biased because we are the manufacturer of the wave pumps, but I encourage you, you can go out and just for a few dollars pick up the same kind of meters. You can test it for yourself. You can do it with your reef club if you like, and see how it works for you in terms of how much sound and what the power utilization is for these pumps. In the end, thank you for sticking with me, and see you next time on one of these videos from Neptune Systems.